What would you do if the love of your life disappeared without a word? What if they walked away, leaving you to wonder if you ever truly meant anything to them at all? Imagine years of silence, and then one day they're back. They show up at your door, but they're not the person you remember. They're different, they've changed, and now they want to explain. Would you listen? Would you let them back in? Could you ever trust them again? Hi, my name is Lily. I'm 29 years old, and I've been working as a freelance photographer for the past 5 years. I live a pretty quiet life, chasing light, capturing moments, and piecing together stories with every shot I take. But underneath the surface of my busy career, there's a void, a piece of my heart that's never truly healed. It's been 5 years since Marcus left, but it feels like only yesterday. People look at me and see a woman who's got everything together, independent, strong, and capable of handling whatever life throws her way. But behind the camera lens, where I freeze moments for others, there's a part of me that's been frozen in time. For 5 years, I've carried the weight of unanswered questions. I still remember the day he walked out of my life like it was yesterday. It was the morning of our anniversary. I was 24, full of hope, with a future ahead of me that I thought would always include him. It was supposed to be the perfect day: breakfast in bed, a quiet celebration, maybe a small trip. But instead, I came home to an empty apartment. There was a letter on the kitchen table, a letter that had torn my world apart. "Lily, I need some time. I need to figure things out. Please don't be mad at me. I'll come back, I promise. I just need space." The words were written in his neat handwriting, but they didn't feel like him. There was no explanation, no reason why, just a promise to return. He said he'd be back. He said he loved me. I waited. I waited for weeks, then months. I kept thinking he'd come back through that door with an apology and an explanation. But the door remained closed, and the silence became unbearable. The phone calls I made to him went unanswered. His social media accounts went quiet. The man I had shared everything with, the man I thought I would marry, had just disappeared. Waited. I waited for years. The first year was the hardest. It felt like an eternity, waking up every day to the same empty space beside me. My world was consumed by questions. Where did he go? Why did he leave? What happened to the love we shared? I told myself I would be strong, that I would keep going, but every time I passed by our favorite cafe, every time I went to the park where we used to walk hand in hand, I would stop and remember how it felt to have him there. But the years passed, and the silence became a part of my life. Eventually, I found ways to fill the emptiness. I buried myself in my work, diving into my photography and taking on more projects than I ever had before. I moved to a new apartment. I made new friends. I even dated a little, but no one compared to Marcus. No one could ever replace the way he made me feel. And every time I thought I was moving on, I'd find myself thinking about him again, wondering where he was, what he was doing, and most importantly, why he never came back. I couldn't forget him. And the more time passed, the more I realized something. I didn't want to forget him. I wanted answers. I wanted to know why he left me without a word, why he promised he would come back and never did. It was a rainy afternoon when I got the message. I was sitting at my desk, sorting through emails and editing photos when my phone buzzed. The message was from an unknown number. "Lily, it's Marcus. I know it's been a long time, and I don't expect you to want to hear from me, but I need to see you. I've made so many mistakes, and I can't keep running from them. Can we talk?" I stared at the screen for what felt like forever. My heart started racing. Marcus? After all this time, after everything, why now? Why was he reaching out after 5 years of silence? I thought I might be dreaming. But no, it was real. It was really him. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. I had so many questions, so many emotions. Part of me was angry, part of me was terrified, and part of me was still in love with him. But another part of me, an older, more cautious part, wasn't sure if I should even open that door again. What would I say to him? What could he possibly say to me that would make any sense after all this time? I couldn't let it go. I needed answers. I needed closure. And somehow, despite everything, I still had this deep, nagging feeling in my chest that maybe, just maybe, there was still a part of me that hoped for more. I replied, "Where?" I didn't know what I was expecting, but I knew that this was it. The moment I had been waiting for years. The moment I would finally get the answers I had longed for, but I couldn't shake the question, would I be able to handle the truth? And if I did, what would it mean for me? The days that followed Marcus's message were a blur of confusion, anticipation, and heartache. I didn't know what to feel. Part of me was eager to finally get the answers I had been longing for, but another part of me was terrified of what that might mean. Could I really face him after everything that had happened? After all the years of pain, could I even trust him again? The agreed upon meeting was for the weekend. I kept replaying the message in my head, wondering why now. Why had he waited all? This time, did he think that 5 years of silence could just be erased by a simple meeting, a simple apology? I spent the days leading up to it trying to prepare myself. I told myself I wasn't going to expect anything, that I had moved on, that I didn't need closure. But no matter how many times I told myself this, a part of me couldn't help but wonder what I would feel when I saw him again. The day arrived, and I found myself standing in front of the same cafe where we used to meet, the one we had picked for our first date. It had always been our spot, the place where we shared laughter, love, and dreams of a future together. It was the kind of place where the memories lingered in every corner, in every coffee cup, in every glance. And now I was here, about to face the man who had left me without a word. A man who promised he'd return, but never did. My heart pounding in my chest, my palms were clammy. The familiar warmth of the cafe seemed different today. The quiet chatter of customers, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, it all felt like a distant memory, like something from a life I once lived, but no longer did. And then I saw him. Marcus was sitting at the table we used to sit at, near the window. He was looking out at the street, his posture slumped, as if the weight of the years had taken its toll on him. When he turned and saw me, his eyes widened for a moment, and I saw the flicker of recognition. But there was something else. In his gaze, something uncertain, something vulnerable. It was like he was seeing me, but not really sure if I was still the same person he had left behind. "Lily," he said softly, standing up. It's been a long time." I forced a smile, but it felt unnatural, like I was pretending to be someone I wasn't. Yeah, 5 years, to be exact. There was a moment of silence between us, and I could feel the tension building in the air. So many things had been left unsaid. So much had happened, and now here we were, two strangers. Trying to pretend that everything was okay, we sat down, and I looked at him, really looked at him for the first time in years. He had changed. His once youthful face had matured, and there was an unfamiliar hardness in his eyes. The man I had once known, the man I had loved, was still there, but he was different. He wasn't the same carefree, passionate person I had fallen for. This version of him seemed burdened, weighed down by something deeper than just the years that had passed. "I don't know where to begin," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need to explain why I left. I know I owe you that." I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. This was the moment. This was the conversation I had been waiting for. But I didn't know if I was ready for it. What if I didn't like the answers? What if they didn't change anything? Why, Marcus? Why did you leave without a word? I asked, the pain in my voice more evident than I had intended. You promised you'd come back. You promised we would figure things out. But then you were just gone. He looked down, his fingers fumbling with his coffee cup as he struggled to find the right words. I was so lost, Lily. I was caught up in my own mess, and I thought I was doing the right thing by walking away. I didn't know how to face you anymore. I didn't know how to face myself. I thought I needed time, space to figure out who I was and what I wanted. I shook my head, my hands tightening around my own cup. You could have told me that. You could have given me a chance to understand. You didn't even try. You just left. And I spent so many years wondering if I wasn't enough for you, if you didn't love me enough to explain. Do you know how that felt? His face softened, and I saw a flicker of the old Marcus, the one who cared, the one who used to hold me and tell me everything would be okay. I was selfish, Lily. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I wasn't. I never wanted to hurt you. I loved you then, and I still love you now. I never stopped. His words hit me like a wave, crashing over the walls I had carefully built around my heart. Love. After all this time, he still loved me, but how could I trust that? How could I trust the man who had disappeared without a word? The man who had broken every promise he had made? I don't know if I can believe that, I whispered, my voice trembling. You left me, Marcus. You walked away, and I had to pick up the pieces of my life without you. You broke my heart, and I don't know if I can just let you back. And I understand, he said softly, his eyes pleading. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but I need you to know that I've changed. I've been working on myself, and I've realized how much I've hurt you. I know I can't erase the past, but I want to try. I want to try to make things right, Lily. There was a heavy silence between us, and I could feel the weight of his words hanging in the air. A part of me wanted to believe him. A part of me wanted to reach out and tell him it was okay, that we could start over, that maybe time had healed some of the wounds. But the other part of me, the part that had suffered for so long, the part that had lived in his absence, was terrified. Could I really forgive him? Could I open my heart to the man who had left me behind without a word? I looked into his eyes, searching for some answer, some sign that he was truly the person I had once known. But all I saw was uncertainty, regret, and an ache that mirrored my own. I don't know if I can do this, Marcus, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I don't know if I can just pick up where we left off. He nodded slowly, his face filled with sorrow. I don't expect you to. I just need you to know that I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere this time. I stood up, my heart pounding in my chest. I need time, I said, my voice shaking. I need to think. I need to figure out if I can even trust you again. Marcus stood up with me, his eyes filled with remorse. I'll wait. However long it takes, Lily, I'll wait. I turned away, my heart torn in two. Could I ever find a way back to him? Could I ever trust him again? Or was the pain of the past too much to overcome? As I walked away from the cafe, the question lingered in my mind. Was it too late for us? The weeks that followed our meeting were filled with an undercurrent of unease. The promise that Marcus had made to me to wait hung in the air like a fragile thread, one that I wasn't sure could hold the weight of everything between us. His words echoed in my mind every day, a constant reminder of the unresolved tension. I'll wait. However long it takes, Lily, I'll wait. But could I allow him back into my life? Could I allow the person who had disappeared so abruptly to once again take up space in my heart? I spent the days in a kind of emotional fog, going through the motions of my life, but never truly feeling present. I still worked, still took photos, still spoke to friends, but every conversation, Every moment felt like it was overshadowed by the unanswered questions about Marcus. I had spent years trying to heal, trying to forget, and now it felt like everything I had built, my peace, my independence, was crumbling. The familiar ache of longing returned every time I thought of him, but so did the pain, the abandonment. It felt as though I was torn between two realities: the woman who had learned to live without him, and the woman who still carried his love, even though he had walked away without a trace. The phone call came late one afternoon. I was at my apartment, sorting through old photographs when my phone buzzed on the coffee table. It's Marcus. The screen read. I stared at it for a moment, hesitant. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to keep up the walls I had so carefully built. But another part of me, the part that still cared deeply for him, wanted to hear what he had to say. I took a deep breath and answered, Lily. His voice came through the phone, calm but laced with an urgency I hadn't heard before. I need to see you. It's important. Can we meet again? I hesitated. Important? What could possibly be so important now? Why? What's going on, Marcus? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. I've been doing a lot of thinking, he said, the hesitation in his voice unmistakable. And I can't keep running from this anymore. There's something I need to tell you. Something that I should have told you all those years ago. I felt my heart beat faster. This was it, the moment I had been dreading and hoping for all at once. Was this the explanation I had been waiting for, or was it just another lie, another excuse for his disappearance? I'll meet you, I said, my voice quiet but determined. But this better be good, Marcus. The cafe was quiet again when I arrived. The same familiar ambience, the same soft music playing in the background, but everything felt different. It felt like I was walking into the unknown, facing a past I had tried so hard to bury. Marcus was already there when I walked in. He was sitting at our table again, and this time there was no smile on his face. His eyes were serious, his posture slumped. I could tell that whatever he had to say, it wasn't going to be easy. I took a seat across from him, my heart pounding in my chest. The silence between us stretched on for what felt like an eternity before he finally spoke. I've been selfish. Lily, he began, his voice low, almost pained. All these years, I thought I was doing what was best for both of us. I thought that by leaving, I could spare you the hurt. I thought that if I figured myself out, I could come back and be the man you needed me to be. But I was wrong. I wasn't protecting you. I was running away. I stared at him, my breath caught in my throat. You ran away, I repeated, my voice trembling, without even telling me why. Without giving me any chance to understand. You just left. Do you know what that did to me, Marcus? Do you know how many nights I spent wondering if you ever loved me at all? He reached across the table, his hand trembling as he took mine. I never stopped loving you, Lily, he said softly. I've carried that love with me every day, even when I didn't deserve it. I wasn't ready to be the man you needed, and I couldn't face that. I didn't know how to explain myself, so I thought leaving would make everything better. But all it did was break us. I felt the tears welling up in my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. How could I? After all this time, after everything I had endured, could I really let him in again? I don't know if I can forgive you, I whispered, my voice shaking with emotion. You left me. You left me without any explanation, and for all these years, I've had to live with that. I've had to rebuild my life, my heart, without you. I don't know if I can just let you back in. Marcus's face twisted with regret. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. But I need you to understand that I've changed. I've spent these years trying to become someone worthy of your love. And I know that might not mean anything now, but I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I'm asking for a chance. A chance to prove that I can be the man you deserve. I pulled my hand back, my emotions swirling in a vortex of pain, love, and confusion. I don't know if I can believe you anymore, Marcus, I said softly. I don't know if I can trust you. He looked at me, his eyes filled with raw vulnerability. I'm not asking you to trust me right away. I'm asking you to let me show you. Let me show you that I'm still the man you loved. Let me show you that I can do better. I stood up, the weight of his words heavy on my chest. I need time, Marcus, I said, my voice breaking. I can't make this decision right now. I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't know if I can love you the way I once did. I'll wait, he said softly, standing up as well. I'll wait as long as it takes. I just want you to know that I love you. I always have. As I turned to walk away, I could feel my heart breaking all over again. The question that had plagued me for so long, why did he leave, had finally been answered, but it didn't make it any easier. The love was still there, but could I trust him again? Could we ever go back to what we once had? I didn't know. All I knew was that the path forward was uncertain. And as I walked away, I was left with one final question. Would love ever be enough to heal the past, or would it be too late for us?